Yes, How Do We Human is free the first Tuesday of every month, but please don't touch the podcast. This is How Do We Human. It's the podcast where we overanalyze all of the weird and uncomfortable micro moments in life. I happen to be one of your esteemed hosts, Evan Cox.
And I happen to be one of your hosts, Chris Binning.
Notice the lack
Not
of
esteemed.
steam.
Not esteemed.
We gotta get you a steamer.
Please steam me.
They're so cheap now. Get a Con Air. Today we're talking about museums. Going to them. Looking at stuff. Art. Fine art. History. Culture.
All of the above.
First, we need to dig a little bit into the history and the culture of a man named Chris.
That's right. Ask me about my culture.
Hey, culture boy. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Yesterday, I was taking a shower, as I often do.
Well, look at you.
Yeah. I'm not one of these celebrities that's like, I only take a shower maybe once a month, and it's okay.
Seems to be a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You would think that, like, it would be obvious that it's like, yeah, because you're rich and famous, people don't want to tell you that you fucking reek, but, anyway, the thing I want to talk about, I'm in the shower, I'm scrubbing my face, and I, at this point, have my back to the shower head, but I also am washing my face with a body wash.
Okay, got a good image here.
Okay, good. Now, it's important to note that I'm washing my face because that means my eyes are closed. And on my right foot, on the pinky toe, I feel just a little bit of like, oh, that's weird. Like that didn't feel like water, but it also didn't feel like it was like a solid or anything. So I don't know what that was. It just felt like a different consistency.
I don't like it.
And I was like, oh, that's weird. But I have soap all around my eyes, so I can't freak out and figure out what it is yet.
Gonna wait to freak out.
But then I'm like, oh, you know what? My wife has like a little loofah thing, and so it's known to fall out of the shower rack and land right there.
It's notorious.
Notorious. It loves to do it. And you know, so I felt a little bit of relief because for that brief moment I was like, uh-oh, something's gone horribly wrong.
Yes.
So relax. Like, it's the loofah, falls all the time. No problems here. And then I remember I didn't hear it hit like the tub. And so I rinse my face off, get that soap out of the way, and there it is, baby. Cockroach in the shower.
No! Not okay.
No, not okay. We've talked before about how every summer roaches, they come to roost.
They get so
come out of the woodwork on this ground level apartment.
Ugh.
And every year the landlord's like, okay, we'll send the Orkin guy over. And the Orkin guy comes over and he sprays some stuff. And then we're solid for like 2, maybe 3 weeks. And then they start coming back, baby. But yeah, so that was a rough way to start my my morning with a big roach in the tub.
Also, like when you're trying maybe this is just me. The whole goal in the shower is you're trying to get clean, feel clean.
Yes.
There's nothing that is going to make me feel less clean than realizing there's a cockroach crawling on my foot.
Yes.
Time to shower again.
It never crawled onto me because it was trying to get out of the water. So it just brushed against my foot with its freaky little legs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and this, we talked. I think this was after we had finished recording last week, but this wasn't one of the little tiny roaches. I get the big papas in the
American, all American
in my
cockroaches.
yeah. I love it when you call me Big Papa Roach, is what he said to me. And so I sprayed him with Raid, and he died.
And it said suffocation, no breathing.
Yeah. And I squashed his carcass in a paper towel and threw him away.
I hate them.
Yeah.
Terrible.
They're
what a terrible start to anyone's day.
Yes. This was at about 5 a.m. So long day ahead to have ruined.
Wow.
Yep. Evan.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Okay. I similarly just had a massive spider on the wall and I killed it. I had to do it.
Yeah.
He had to do it.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'm doing good. What I wanted to talk about was this. Days are hard. Days, numbers. My brain is degenerating, I think.
What do you mean? Like days of the week, or like how long ago something happened? What are we talking about? Or just like as soon as the sun comes up, life gets hard, and as soon as it goes back down, it's easy.
Days are hard. No, remembering what day something happened. It had to have been a weekend. It must have been Saturday. I think last Saturday.
Okay.
We are now, I was going to say as of this record, but also as of this coming out. It is July. We are recording the day before the 4th.
Yep. You try and crack the code which day it is.
You figure that out. And, if you figure that out and leave us a 5-star review, I will send you $5 on Venmo. I don't know if this is against Apple Podcasts. If you can pay people.
Anyways. No, I'm sure no podcast pays for reviews.
It's never happened before. Anyways, man, we should look at that. I wish we had money.
Yeah.
The previous month, I can't think of the way to say that. We went to a Pride event up here. The previous month was Pride. I can't think of words. Words, days, numbers. All off
the big
for
three.
Me. The big three. So there was a Pride event going on at Lake Arrowhead Village. We went over there. It was like a little drag show. We got drinks and stuff. Yeah, that sounds like a good time if I've ever heard one. Call me an ally. Please. And do it publicly.
Yeah.
So
if you leave a 5-star review saying that Evan is an ally, he'll send you $5.
I'll send you 6.
Oh.
So as a straight man, a straight white man, yes. These are always like, I have to conduct myself in a very specific way because it doesn't take.
Yeah, because there's a war on us.
There's a war on straight white men.
All right, I'm gonna clip that out.
I've got my just
leave a 5-star review saying, Evan, I agree with you. There's a war on straight white men, and I'll send you $6.
I'll take that $6 back. I'll find a way. I've got angry face. I feel like it's easy for me to walk into a place like this and for people to be like, is he cool? Is he okay?
Right.
Is he a problem? I walk in, I've got a water bottle because it's 90 fucking degrees out. And immediately I'm told, get out. Aggressively too. You can't bring a water bottle in here. And I'm like, oh, it's I can like open it and show you. I mean, it's just like this much water left. It's not alcohol. They're like, we don't care. You can't have it. And I realize when you're running an event, that can be a rule. And that's okay.
Yeah, because they want to charge you for their water bottle.
That's what it came down to. It's like, That's really all this is
Yeah.
you get in there and it's like, cool, water's $5 now. Did I mention it's 90 degrees and it's uncovered and we're just outside? Shocker, I became thoroughly dehydrated that day. I mean, I just, yeah, there's that. Words fell apart again. But so I take the water bottle back to the car. I get back and walk in, and everything's fine. Jocelyn had got some drink tickets, so I got a dehydrating beverage as opposed to what my initial intent was to sip on my water I brought from home. And so we're enjoying the show. It was pretty short for an event that was going from noon to 3. It lasted from like noon to 1:30. We were like, oh, okay, I guess that's done. So we're just sitting around finishing our drinks. Most people have left. It's like a DJ set at that point, and no one seemed to really care.
Yeah.
We all came for the drag show. So the music's pumping. We're just sitting there playing, and these two girls come up to us and ask if they can sit at our table. And we're like, sure. And they're both wearing, like, one's wearing a big rainbow cape. They're both decked out in rainbows. And we get chatting with these people. And we're just
Why
getting
are there
along
so
really
many
well.
songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side?
Green?
Okay. And so the conversation ended very quickly, I'm assuming?
No, it was a slow realization. Information by information as time went on. I think we found the other two straighties. And it just felt like, how does this happen? Like, we can't go be allies at an event and just like, oh, hey, look at us. Hey, we're all the LGBTQ plus people love us. No, all the straight people just glommed into the middle and found each other. And I was like, they were very nice. We went out and spent a few more hours with them. Went to a restaurant together. But it did just feel like, I think we just went to a pride event and found the other straight people and hung out with them all day. So, I don't know.
Well, no wonder you're begging people to call you an ally at the in our
I need the attention.
Podcast review section. You need that reassurance that I didn't try to go find the straight people.
It wasn't my intent, but they were very nice. I don't know.
Did you give them How Do We Human podcast stickers?
I did not.
Yeah, you should have brought those to the to the Pride event.
We joke about it. But again, I have those in my wallet. They go everywhere with me. I've never done anything with them. They're just there. So yes, I did bring How Do We Human stickers to the Pride event. I should have passed them out, and then everyone would have been like, what the fuck is this?
I don't know. You'll have to list all 270 some episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a secret code.
That could work. I wonder. I mean, we know it's hard to do because we tried doing it in, what did we give ourselves, 10 minutes? Naming all the episodes. But I do wonder how fast I can say them all.
Well, hey, spoiler alert, but save it for episode 300 because I've been building an updated quiz for us to try and see what we can remember. But
all right.
Anyway, do you think that if you had handed out those stickers, somebody would have looked at you and been like, this belongs in a museum?
Yes.
And, yeah.
Because it does. It's a piece of art. I made it on TeePublic, I think. Which, I mean, with AI these days, can't I just call it art?
Yeah.
Are there going to be AI art museums?
Oh, that's a good question.
Let's start with the hard stuff.
Yeah. Are there going to be AI art museums? I don't know. I mean, do you think also that there will be I guess this fad has kind of come and gone before this could get built, but like an NFT museum of like, all that
I
fucking bullshit.
mean, one thing you can say in a museum's or in NFT's favor in terms of being in a museum, NFTs not fucking touchable.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You ever touch anything in a museum?
No, I feel like I have very good museum etiquette. I'm
Must be nice.
quiet in the museum. I don't
Yeah.
touch anything. Um, I feel like I'm generally moving around the exhibit in a way that keeps the flow of traffic moving.
Yeah.
But these are increasingly uncommon things. When's the last time you went to a museum, Evan?
Kind of depends on the definition of a museum.
Okay.
Because as
Let me look. Let me see what Webster's Dictionary.
Dictionary said. I heard someone say that yesterday.
A building in which objects of historical, scientific, artistic, or cultural interest are stored and exhibited.
Okay.
So I
Then
guess my
I would
question is,
say-
Evan, when's the last time you went to a building in which objects of historical, scientific, artistic, or cultural interest are stored and exhibited?
I guess I'll say that this feels like it doesn't count, so we'll get it the fuck out of the way, because this was an art exhibit. It was like a pop-up art exhibit. I'm like, I don't know if you can call that a museum. It is a building, and there
Right.
are historically significant pieces.
I think it counts.
Yeah, okay, we'll count this. It was a weird cop-out feeling. I don't know. So you may or may not have heard. Where was this? It was not in LA. So this was before we moved up here. Somewhere in Southern California, there was a pop-up Banksy exhibit.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You
I think I remember
heard-
hearing about that.
For those of you not in the know, Banksy, elusive but popular street artist, has been around for a while. Exit through the gift shop. Maybe you've heard of it. So there was this like pop-up event, and like his whole fucking thing is like he doesn't want people to know who he is. He doesn't make money off of a lot of the stuff he does. He just goes out there and does weird art in public. And I like some of it, and some of it I'm like, it's kind of cringy and annoying. I think his stuff has aged not great, not in a problematic sense, just in a like, yeah, that was cooler back then. It was cooler in the early 2000s. But some of his stuff's still cool. Anyways, we're walking around this thing. It was me, Jocelyn, and then Jocelyn's family. And when we got to the end... So, like, I already said, Exit Through the Gift Shop. That was the name of a documentary about him. And the type of person he is like, he's being interviewed and he's wearing, like, a black mask or something, or his face is just obscured and his voice is obscured. And there's a high chance that wasn't even him. That's someone else. Like, he just has no... it's part of his shtick to be nobody.
Yeah.
But it's called Exit Through the Gift Shop because he's a very anti what's the anti-capitalist artist and shit like that. And so,
why?
I know it's so good.
It's been working so well.
It's been working pretty good. I think we're nearing the end of it. By that I mean Earth. So it's called Exit Through the Gift Shop in a kind of, that's any event you go to is like, exit through the gift shop, spend some money. And we finish this thing, and there's a gift shop at the end of it, and a bunch of merchandise being sold. And I'm like, that's really at first you think, like, maybe this is a piece. This is the last
maybe this
thing.
is part of the exhibit.
But I'm here, and I'm like, I can buy a Banksy mug and a Banksy t-shirt. And I look it up. This thing is completely unrelated to Banksy.
Yeah.
This is just some other people showing like prints of his stuff and making money
Some good
off of
hardworking
it.
capitalists.
It was like $60 to get in.
Of course it was.
It was absolute horseshit. And it wasn't until we hit the end that occurred, and we looked it up, and it's like, we just got fucking swindled.
Yep.
At a museum. Now I'm part of the problem. Because I bought a mug. No. I didn't buy shit.
Yeah,
but
of
I did
course
spend
not.
money to get in there. And I don't think Banksy would have liked that very much.
Interesting.
Are you much of a museum goer? And when was the last time you went?
The last time I went to a museum was like 2 weeks ago.
Interesting.
My wife is like, she was a history major, and so she's very interested in like history and art and like artifacts, sculptures, statues, all that stuff. And so we recently went to the Norton Simon Museum, which is in Pasadena, which is a privately owned museum. Basically, and I'm going to get some details wrong for reasons that we'll get into in a little bit, but basically it was some rich guy in the 1900s, I think, just like made a bunch of money in one of the many booms of capitalism back when those used to happen, and made a bunch of money, and then got really into buying and selling art. So he just like amassed this massive collection, and then when he died, his family was like, "Oh, let's just put it in a museum.
It's
let's
funny
make
when
money."
It's like the I mean, there's actually a very specific example. I was going to say the version of that you hear more often is like someone collected all this stuff and it was like, I need to share this with the world and let people come in. Your Paul Allens in Seattle, for instance, who owned all this crazy rock memorabilia and ended up opening the Experience Music Project, which is where I touched Eric Clapton's guitar and an alarm went off. And I didn't know what to do. I was like 14. So sue me. Anyways.
They probably would.
It's just very funny to me, though, that it's like, he died. He didn't want to share this with anyone.
No.
But now that he's dead, let's make a museum.
Let's go ahead and charge people $20 to $30 to look at all this stuff. But I guess part of the reason that like I don't remember a lot of the details is because of like how I feel in a museum, which is dumb and like imposter syndrome, I guess, to an extent of like you walk into a big room with a bunch of different artwork and you're like, yes, these are all different. These all
there they
are different time periods and artists, I'm assuming. Like that just, I'm not really one that takes a lot either from like reading each of the little plaques at the different things. I'm just kind of a like walk around, I saw it, next room kind of deal. Like I still like going, but I just I don't like my wife is very much like I want to learn about some of these different things and why people, what's really being depicted outside of just what I can see, what's the backstory and some of that stuff. And so it's, you know, I like still going, I like seeing what she's getting out of it, but at the same time I'm just kind of like, yes, painting of fruit, painting of beach, of course. And then moving on. Do you feel dumb in a museum like that?
I would say in general, no. And part of that might just be like, I mean, both Jocelyn and I we'll call us art school people. So I didn't do your paintings and your stuff like that. But I did film shit and I studied it and took it very seriously. So it's like, I get it. I respect it. But I'm a strong believer that a piece of art, no matter what medium, either moves you or it doesn't. And that's
Yeah.
okay. And I don't think anyone should feel dumb in a museum. Because I've had the experience. Like, I walked around, I had a lot to say about the Broad, which I think is a very good museum in Los Angeles. And walking around there, and it's like kind of what you're saying, like, well, that's a very nice looking painting. Like, that is also a very nice looking painting. That's a sculpture I don't understand. When we read about it,
Yes.
I don't get it. Not for me. And then walking into a room, and I wish I could shout out the guy's name because I can never remember their name. But a room of this one guy's stuff. I was just like, all of this I love. Like, I
Oh.
can't explain it. Every single painting in this room is my shit.
Okay, interesting.
God, I can't think of the guy's name. He's got stuff at the Broad, and it's all like they're paintings, but every single painting is just like one color, but different shades of that color. So it'll be like a scene, but it's all blue and just done in
Oh,
different
okay.
shades of blue or green or red, depending on what he's painting. That was really, really cool. And I was like, oh, fuck, I want one of these. I don't have $50,000, but
Yeah.
I'll take it. On the other
I
hand, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, like, I'm glad to hear that you had me worried there for a second because my least favorite type of art is a lot of modern art.
Oh, yeah.
Where like when you said, oh, and it's just one color but different shades.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, but there's a scene there. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But like there was a modern art
Let's
room
fucking
in
go.
this Norton Simon museum, and one of
Yeah.
the things was like this massive thing, and it's like a stripe of green, a stripe of red, a stripe of white, a stripe of blue, and like a stripe of purple or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is art. It's like, what are you talking about? These are
Yeah.
color swatches at the Home Depot. What are we doing? Or it's like, here's some
Yeah.
boxes that have been nailed to the wall. Like, what the fuck?
I feel like I've seen that exactly. Well, and
Yeah.
here's a big one. Maybe I'll just share my picture here or share my screen at the Broad. It's very famous. It's
Oh,
just
sure, the
the
balloon
sculpture
animal sculpture.
of a giant balloon animal. It's just out there in the open. And this is the perfect example of something that I see. And I'm like, you really telling me I'm not supposed to touch this?
Yeah, that's
It's so
fair.
smooth. I want to touch this.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Like I still don't uh touch the artwork. I
No, of course.
um but a big part of it, like I don't really necessarily want to, but there's also like museum security guards
Oh, yeah.
make me so uncomfortable. And I know that like they have to be there because there are going to be little 14-year-old Evan Coxes running around touching stuff, but like
Yeah.
they're always they just they're always watching because that's their whole job, but
That's the gig.
it makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Is this how the artwork feels? Is this part of the experience?
Yeah. It's just a weird middle place, especially considering museums are a place that, like, did you go to museums as a kid, like for school, like, oh, trip to the museum? Because I did. I'm like,
I
how do you
think so. We
how
went
do you
to a
trust
science
kids?
center. I don't know if the science center counts as
I'd
a
count it. I
museum.
love a good science center.
Yeah.
That's my shit. It's just it's weird, but yeah, on the modern art front, I like to look at it, but yeah, I think modern art for me is the biggest, like, this is either really cool or the stupidest thing I've ever
Yeah.
seen. uh, there is, when I lived in Long Beach, there's the MOLA, the Museum of Latin American Art, uh, which was very cool museum. And then there's this one piece that's just a shovel.
That's art.
It's just a shovel. It's a shovel laying against the wall, and you can read the thing, and it's like, this is a piece about the miners from this period that this happened. It's something very serious. I think people died. But it's also just a shovel.
Right.
And I like the idea of pushing the boundaries of what can and can't be art. And I'm not even one to say that that's not art.
Sure.
But is it interesting? Maybe not to me. I don't know. It definitely had the vibe. It's like you walk past that point, there's a shovel leaning against the wall, and it's like, is this people are going to stand around going, ooh, this is awesome. And then like the maintenance guy comes by and goes, oh, sorry, I left this here.
Yeah, exactly. There's that one exhibit that was like spilled trash on the floor or something like that. I think this was in New York. I don't remember where it was, but it was like trash spilled on the floor. And it's like, oh, this is art. And then, somebody saw trash on the floor and tried to pick it up. And then they got in trouble because it's like, no, that's art. I kind of going back to museum etiquette real quick. Most people I think are very quiet, and there's always though some like woman in her 70s that's like in the museum with one or two of her friends or family members, and is always so loud, and I don't understand, like, and saying stuff that's not even interesting, or like maybe if she was like a wannabe tour guide or something and like sharing interesting,
I feel like I've seen that happen a lot.
Things, maybe I'd be okay with it, but like it's always just like walking in and being like, wow, that is this Pablo Picasso? I heard. Now I read that he painted people a little less realistic. It was like, oh yeah.
Interesting.
One of the most famous painters in the world with the most unique style? That's what you've heard? Interesting.
That's just me.
That's just what I've read. I'm well read.
I've heard of this.
And speaking of red, boy, there sure is a lot of red in that painting there by Pablo Picasso.
This Salvador Dali guy, he's melting clocks left and right.
Clocks in the desert.
I don't know what time it is. Those arms aren't going to function right. Speaking of all red, while we're going, I did find the guy. His name's Mark Tansey. And I just think his shit's really cool. Like, it's all blue. But it's
okay, yeah.
And this is Awake, and it's all the people at Awake. And if you look at this from an angle, that's a guy's face. God, that's neat.
Oh, interesting.
That's
okay.
Neat as hell, and I love this. I don't know. It was like, I think that's cool. Actually, speaking of someone, I think the last episode we shouted out old Donnie Sutherland. Martin Mole just passed away.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing artist. I had one of his paintings as a background on my laptop for a long time, and now I can't find it for the life of me because that laptop exploded.
Oh.
But if you've never looked, I mean...
I did not know he was even an artist.
Yeah. Look him up. He made cool shit. He like painted, he would get like old photographs from the 50s and 60s and then paint them, but like on top of each other. So like putting different photographs together, but it's all hand painted. Really cool shit. I don't know. I think art, different things speak to different people. And I think there is, in paintings, at least for me, there are things that you can look at and you can explain it to me and I'll go like, oh, that's cool that they did that. It doesn't do anything for me, but that's very cool that that's all in there and that works for you. But I find like 9 times out of 10, it's a lot of like technique stuff is more interesting to me in art when you like get really like anytime I can look at a painting that's just like from a distance looks like super realistic
from a distance
and then you get close to it and it's just like, this looks like shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's cool as hell. Like, how the fuck do you paint that? Because he or she, whoever's making it, or they, is close up to it when they're painting it.
They just have their paintbrush
Long
on like
paintbrush?
the longest paintbrush ever.
Like, that sort of stuff's fascinating to me. But on the flip side of it, I do want to continue on about the Broad. There's one thing in there that you see more and more and more and more at these museums, and that's Instagram traps.
Yes.
The Broad has one of the more famous ones, the Infinity Room, which is a room full of mirrors and lights, like little tiny dot lights that just look crazy, and it looks like it goes on forever. And you have to, so you pay to get into the museum, or you go on the first Tuesday of every month, or whichever day it is there. I believe that is correct for the Broad. But you have to, if you pay to get in, you have to pay extra to go into this room where everyone will take a selfie.
Yeah, where every single other person in the museum is.
You get 15 seconds. I have to pay money to go in somewhere for 15 seconds. And it's so popular because it looks so cool. And all these people want that photo.
Yep.
It's like, you're going to ask me to pay money to go into a cool room for 15 seconds. And if my photo doesn't turn out, get the fuck out, Buster. It's the next
again, buddy.
It's the next influencer's chance. I find this weird. And I don't let me say that's not art. I don't even think things have to be art to be in a museum. It just has to be interesting. And that is interesting. But that does feel more like something you'd see at the science centers. Shit like that.
Yeah.
It's just weird. But it gets people in the doors, and that's good.
Right.
I don't know where I stand on this. I don't have to stand. I'll sit. When it comes to the Infinity Room, I sit. Itty. I sit in the room.
Okay. I mean, it does get people in the door. I guess this kind of segues though into,
let's go.
There's museums in general.
Yes.
The Infinity Room doesn't really apply to this, but there's a lot of controversy about museums and whether or not people should be getting in the doors. Because, several museums, this kind of goes a little bit into our zoo episode as well, where there is some controversy where, like, hey, some of the things that are in museums should maybe go back to their original countries or people where they came from instead of being on display.
Stolen by colonizers.
Yeah.
And that's fair.
It is fair. But it's also like, I want to see this stuff. You know what I mean?
I do. But I feel like at a certain point.
And I think actually, let me jump in and say, I want to see the stuff, but what there should be at every museum is like a disclaimer.
Yeah.
In front of everything that's like, this was stolen by colonizers, as opposed to like this was bought at an auction or whatever, or collected by somebody who knew the artist or whatever.
Yeah.
There should be disclaimers in every museum of how it came to be at that museum from the creation of it to now.
If the security guards, their only job is to make sure people don't touch stuff, they can also say they're sorry when you are looking at a specific piece that should not be there.
Yeah, they have to walk over and be like, I'm so sorry.
But what I was trying to think of is, like the most famous, this isn't necessarily, I don't think it's at all an example of that, but like the most famous thing that like people go to see is like the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Even the Mona Lisa, if it came out that was, Leonardo. If all Leonardo da Vinci. Goosebumps. Leonardo da Goosebumps. He's part of a small tribe that got fucked over, and this was stolen from him. Clearly, we know that's not the case with Leonardo da Vinci. I don't think I care enough about, like, I have to see the Mona Lisa. Like, that's, I don't know. Give it all back. I don't, I would be interested in seeing a list, but I would be surprised if there was anything on there that I'm just like, you can give it back, but I have to go see it before you give it back.
Sure.
I can look at pictures.
Yeah. Pictures
are nice.
Pictures are nice. Just, I don't care if it's, like, especially with paintings.
Yeah.
I don't really care if it's authentic.
Yeah.
If you just print that shit out on canvas and put it in a nice frame, I'm down. I'll still look at it.
This is a great use of NFTs. You give it back, but you take this, like, crazy high quality photo. It's like 60,000 pixels by 60,000 pixels, and only that exists, and you can sell that to someone, they can own it, and that makes them happy. Fucking cool. Do it. And then give it back to them. I don't need to see it in person. Personally.
You mentioned the Mona Lisa, which is, of course, in the Louvre in Paris.
From 2003's Mona Lisa Smile.
That's right. The titular Mona Lisa. That painting that Andy Samberg's character Connor for real sings about in the movie Pop Star Never Stop Never Stopping. This is that painting
starring Chris Benning.
That's true. I was there when they recorded the concert scene for that song, even though my little face is in a different scene. I was there when they recorded that one also. They used the same extras for multiple concert scenes.
You're just big fans.
Yep. But the reason I wanted to even discuss this episode was something happened at work months ago. And I was like, this might be a How You Doing, but I feel like a museum episode would be a better place for it. So I've been holding on to it for a while.
Great.
One of my supervisors was talking about how she wanted to travel, but she didn't know where she wanted to go to. And she was talking to me and one other guy about her travel aspirations. And we were like, well, what do you like to do? And, like, what do you like to travel and see? And she was like, oh, I really like to go see, like, historical old artwork and buildings. And so me and this other guy were like, well, I mean, Paris is probably the place to go for that.
I got some.
See some cathedrals and then go to the Louvre and see a bunch of artwork and stuff. And this other coworker butts in.
Great.
And says, no, don't go to the Louvre. I went to the Louvre and I went to Paris and, like, it really wasn't that great. Like, the Louvre, there's no modern art. It's all, like, old stuff there. The fuck are you talking about?
That's very funny.
The most famous historical art museum. You're mad that it's not the new stuff is there?
Well, they have the new stuff.
Yeah. And she's like, and, like, Paris, there's so much walking in Paris. Yeah. A famously walkable city.
Listen, she gave us some information on what she likes, and Paris is a good answer. If you had given us information on what you liked, we might say the Grove.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, the Grove might have too much walking.
Yeah,
maybe
not enough
just
modern art.
The monorail at Disneyland. Enjoy.
Now that's modern art.
But yeah, it was just such a baffling way to interject, to be like, no. You don't want to go to this place that has all the stuff you want. You want to go somewhere that I like.
Yes, anyone with, like, very specifics of just, like, I didn't like it because someone was mean to me there. You don't ever want to go there.
Right.
I had one bad interaction, and no one should ever go to Paris.
Right.
People are funny. I love it. I love this.
Yeah. One of my wife's friends used to work for the ice cream company Salt and Straw.
I know him.
And I guess like had like a bad boss or something like that. And like, so she told all her friends like, never go to Salt and Straw, boycott Salt and Straw. It's like, if we weren't allowed to go places where there are bad bosses, we wouldn't be able to go anywhere.
No. Arguably, I shouldn't even be here. I'm a bad boss of my dog.
Is that true?
Yeah.
A lot of HR meetings.
Dog boss.
Dog boss.
Dog boss.
Something else I wanted to mention about the Norton Simon Museum and museum etiquette. There was a small room that was part of a larger exhibit, and my wife, myself, and one other guy are just looking at, there's like 3 gigantic paintings in this room, and we're looking at the paintings, and it's silent because we're, good little museum goers.
Absolutely.
And then this other guy just rips a loud, wet one. And
oh no.
I couldn't do anything. I just had to stare at the painting in front of me, laughing so hard, but not letting any noise come out, trying to keep the tears from restraining the laughter in. There's nothing funnier, and I think that you talked about this maybe in the movie theaters episode, but
and Clint Eastwood's The Hereafter movie about death and the afterlife.
There's nothing funnier than a fart during something like so quiet and serious that you're not allowed to laugh at.
Yeah.
Farts have never been funnier than that.
Loudly laughing in a museum could get like a security guard over to you.
Yes.
And you have to say, that guy farted.
That guy farted. It's not my fault. That guy farted.
I wonder, let us know if any of you worked at a museum or work at a museum.
Yes.
Because it's so quiet in there. How often are you hearing farts?
That's a good question. My wife did have an internship at a museum when she was in college. And I think there was a period of time where she was working with artifacts like in the back, preparing them for exhibition stuff. And she said that job was fun, but also could be very spooky. Some, going back to ghosts, some potential ghostly activity back there as they tool around with all the ancient artifacts.
Yeah. I mean, this place also sounds like there's a miserly old dead man that didn't want his stuff shown. I could see him haunting that place. Like, mine. All of the paintings come out and they just end up in a little pile.
I am fascinated by museums that have like wildly different exhibits in them. I went to, I think it's like the Skirball Museum or something like that.
Sounds familiar.
In LA, and we went. It was myself and then a former guest of the podcast, Ryan. He and his wife and I went to the Skirball Museum they had like a big Muppet exhibit where like they had a bunch of the stuff from Jim Henson's workshops. Sweet. And they had it all displayed and stuff. But it's like right next to the Holocaust exhibit. And it's the tonal shift that you make between the Holocaust exhibit and then like, oh look, here's Beaker on display. Like is very
that's a tough
interesting shift there. But even that, like something that I was interested in, or even like in France, I went to a museum that had like miniatures from movies that would use miniatures for different sets and stuff. I went to that museum too, and like these are things that I'm interested in, but I'm still, or at the to tie it back to Seattle to perk your interest here. When we went to Mopop, they had the Leica stop
Yeah.
motion animation exhibit there. Like these are all things that I'm interested in and
Mm-hmm.
interested in learning about, but I'm still just like, oh, cool. I see this, and I see this, and I see this, and very cool. Like,
Yeah.
still enjoying it, but like not taking advantage of all the information that's out there. I think I just like to see stuff and then move on.
Yeah. That's okay. I think that's it. Yeah, that is a awkward feeling of walking around a museum, which I remember having back at the Broad. Because I think, if I remember correctly, I started going there. I was newly single, and you see a movie or two. There's some cute meet 'em ups that
Absolutely,
happen
some
at
cute meet 'em
an
ups.
art museum.
Art museums, bookstores, and coffee
Yes.
shops.
So I'm ready, just in case. I look nice.
And high-rise office buildings just outside the elevator.
But I'm walking here.
I'm walking here.
I'm looking at stuff.
Is this the exhibit? This guy declaring he's walking here?
I can't help but feel like I am doing it wrong. You know what
Yeah.
I feel like you're talking about, there's the type of people that are going in and like talking really loudly and giving their own tours. But then there's also just the people that are good at going to a museum, being quiet, and really looking like they're ingesting this. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, similarly to you, unless something really catches my eye, I'm just kind of walking around and I appreciate something, but unless it really does catch my eye, I'm not likely to stop and stare at it for a long time. I'm mosey. I'm mosey around a museum, unless we have left out the other side of museums, which is like history museums and shit like that. Those sorts of things I'm way more likely to stop and look at, or like the La Brea tar pits and shit like that, old animal bones and stuff. I'll stop and stare at that. I think that's fascinating. Art, one every 20, 30 pieces, I'll be like, oh, interesting. I'm going to stop and look at that. Everything else, I'm moseying.
You and I are a couple museum mosiers.
Yeah, just walk around, look at it. I appreciate that. That looks nice. It's a big glass fucking balloon animal.
Yeah. I do. I think I am a mosier at heart as well, but sometimes I feel like,
should we open a museum?
Let's open a museum.
I don't know what'll happen there.
It's just all moving sidewalks
stopping
to force you to keep moving.
Yes.
But sometimes I feel like I slow my pace down to kind of be more at the same pace of whoever I'm with. But at some point I'm just like, I wonder if it looks like I'm really appreciating something.
Yeah.
Or if I just look like I'm just staring into nothing.
Squinting at it.
Just waiting. Counting down the seconds until we move to the next room.
Look like you're looking at one of the seeing eye images.
Yeah.
Crossing your eyes.
It's a boat. Yeah. Anything else you have to say about museums?
You dumb bastard. It's not a sailboat. That's not a schooner. It's a sailboat. Don't watch Mallrats, people.
What do you feel about the Met Gala, Evan?
Oh, that's some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen. I was surprised to find out, like, because you hear about it every fucking year. All these famous people going to the Met Gala. And I'm not here to say, like, fashion can't be artistic. Fashion's interesting. That type of fashion, not for me, but it is very much for other people. But when I found out that entire event is just like raising money for already very wealthy people that run this organization, and that's like all it is.
Yep.
Like, this is insane, and it sucks. And why is anyone going?
Yeah.
I gotta have that in the backyard. Come on over, celebs. Dress funny, and I'll take pictures of you. And I'll raise money for me.
It is, yeah. I have never understood the Met Gala.
Weird.
It is like, I learned this year that my wife is like interested in the Met Gala, and I don't know why, but
but a lot of people are.
Yeah, she likes that it gets it. So in her mind, and I don't see the connection here other than the word Met being in the name of the event.
She's a baseball fan.
Yeah. Where's Mr. Met at the Met Gala, first of all? Why is he not the guest of honor every year? You could put Mr. Met in the most insane outfit every year, and people would love it.
It is,
and nobody would have to feel embarrassed because, like, it's a person who's anonymous. Then I would be into it.
I'd be into that. It's a missed opportunity if they don't. The Mets, the New York Mets, you need to put on the Mets Gala at the same time every year and just have your players come out in their uniforms. And then at the end, Mr. Met comes out in like a giant peacock outfit.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But anyway, she likes that she feels like it gets attention and money going towards a museum, and she likes that. But I don't feel like that's where the money goes, and it certainly is not where the attention is going. The attention is going on celebrities and their dumb outfits.
Yeah. It's a bad event. I processed it as of right now. Dressed as Mr. Met.
Yeah.
Come on. Oh, man. Let's get just hundreds, thousands of people all dressed up like Mr. Met to go protest the Met Gala every year.
I like this.
That'd be fantastic. Come on. Join us. Come on. We might have to make our own costumes, which would be funny. Funnier.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. This is a good idea.
Yeah.
Next year, I need all the listeners. We all need to go to New York.
Yeah.
In our homemade Mr. Met outfits and protest the Met Gala.
We have to drive there wearing the Mr. Met hat.
Yep.
Hat. I only have one other thing I wanted to say before we wrap this up. An experience back to Mula.
Speak your truth, King.
The Museum of Latin American Art in Long Beach, California. And Carly, my ex-girlfriend, we were together at the time. We go to this museum. I believe that one was like free on Sundays or something like that. We're a couple of, we love a free museum. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
And that was right down the road from where we lived. So we go in there, and it's similar to the Infinity Room. It's a smaller museum, and they only allow so many people in at once, which I think is an interesting idea, because then it's not super crowded. Everyone can take their time, see what they want. They just, I can't think of the word for it, but stagger the people they're letting in. So they told us, like, the next opening is like 15 minutes or 10 minutes from now. And we're like, okay, so you wait around here. So we end up just kind of standing around, and someone offers us champagne. Would you like a glass of champagne? Yeah. Yes, I would like a glass of champagne. So we took a glass, each got a glass of champagne. We're sipping it. And then
someone comes up and is like, that guy doesn't work here.
More and more people started showing up and hanging out around that table where they gave us champagne. And then all of a sudden it was like, all right, everybody's here. Great, let's go. And they all went in together. So I don't think we were supposed to have champagne. And as much as it was like they left, that was the end of that. I spent the rest of that museum trip being like, I don't think I was supposed to have that champagne.
They're going to ask for the champagne back.
They're going to ask for me to pitch in. I don't have any cash on me. Oh, fuck. Just a weird little guilt trip.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as free champagne. It comes with guilt sometimes.
It's true.
Bubbles and Guilt. The Evan
Bubbles
Cox
and
story.
Guilt. That's a good podcast.
That's a podcast. Bubbles and Guilt. Bubbles and Guilt. What do you do with your bubbles and guilt?
Just wanted to make sure you didn't have any other lyrics locked and loaded.
What did you do in the tub in all those bubbles, bub, that you're guilty about?
And scene. Okay. Even more than
you were never a yes
and
guy. You were a yes and scene.
I was okay, I think we're done.
Yes and okay.
Yes, and that's enough of that. Something that there's not enough of is this podcast and listeners of it. You can follow us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts, HowDoWeHuman.com. Anywhere that you get your podcasts, you can find us and share our beloved content with all your friends and family, and honestly, your enemies as well. We'll take any listeners. Okay. We also would love some 5-star reviews. So if you want to drop some of those on these places, then we can start climbing up these comedy podcast charts, start getting seen by more people. That'd be great. You can also check us out on our social media, which is another great way to boost us and interact with us. You can check us out on Instagram at HowDoWeHuman.
We got that handle.
Facebook at HowDoWeHuman.
I don't think you're ready for that handle.
Watch the full episodes on YouTube at HowDoWeHuman.
You can handle, but you better not touch.
You could leave us a voicemail at 323-657-9896.
The best handle that you've ever seen is just a string of numbers.
Or send us an email to howdowehumanpod@gmail.com.
The best part of that handle is that it's an address.
And now it's time to continue our heated trivia battle, Evan. You did fairly well last week. 3 out of 5, which is what we're counting as fairly well, which tells you how poorly we've been doing.
Yes.
And that was certainly better than I did last week. So let's see what these 5 questions have in store. As a reminder, the current score as we play to 100 points, Chris with 63 points, Evan with 57 points, and of course, Dustin has 4.
And did you ever go back and verify that? Because you were kind of just guessing last week.
It's at least the same as I have at least kept it consistent from last week.
The other thing I do want to throw out there, I don't think we mentioned this YouTube comment that came in a few weeks ago on our cartoons episode from Ryan Rockers. A lot of bald and beard.
It's true.
That was my response.
Yeah, I mean,
thank you,
he's
Ryan.
not wrong. You know, it's one of those things that he calls it like he sees it, and he nailed it.
Yeah. All right, let's get to it.
Let's get to it. How confident are you feeling, by the way?
As confident as I've ever been.
Great.
I feel good.
Question number 1. What does a bibliophile enjoy? Books, comics, movies, religion.
Okay. To me, this is a softball.
Yes, to me
You
as
agree?
well, so I hope we
Okay.
get it right.
I'm just really like scared now. But books?
Books is my answer as well.
Okay.
Great. We both got a point.
Fantastic. The fastest single point we've both ever gotten. Speaking of fast, what is the fastest ocean fish? Is it a swordfish, a mako shark, a sailfish, or a wahoo?
I'm kind of between two, but I'm leaning towards one in particular. I want to say I've never heard of a wahoo.
I feel like I've heard
that's
it, but
delightful.
in this context, I'm just like, I mean, if I was a fast fish, that's what I'd be saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also, there's the sailfish. It's got a sail that might propel it. I mean, I guess sails don't really propel, but
sure.
All right, sailfish is out.
Swordfish could cut through the water, of course.
Are shark considered fish? I think they are.
Yeah, I don't know
what else
if
they're trying to trick us. I mean, dolphins are mammals.
That's true.
I'm
gonna say mako shark is my answer. It's a good
answer, but I'm too delighted by going wahoo. Then I think I'm going wahoo.
Okay, let's see. It was sailfish.
I overthought
the one that you ruled out.
The only one I ruled out.
Which amendment to the U.S. Constitution deals with presidential succession? 54th, 5th, 13th, 25th.
God, I hate this. I know what one of these is. I believe I may know what two of these are. But even then,
I have an answer, but I'm pleading the 5th right now.
I have an answer. I am going to say, although it feels wrong, I'm going to say the 25th.
That's my answer as well, and I'm relatively confident, so let's see what it is. That was correct.
We did it.
We are both still tied at 2 for this game thus far.
What have I heard of this? The Treaty of Ghent was the peace treaty that ended which war? The 100 Years' War, the War of 1812, the Gulf War, or World War I?
We've talked about this before. Treaties are things that like I have zero. I cannot retain in my mind at all. I'm between 2 right now, but could be any of these 4, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, treaties should just be a term for small treats. We've got these little Jif peanut butter balls downstairs that are nice little treaties.
Trick or treaty.
Yeah. As I said, that sounded familiar to me. And for that this might not mean anything. But I have read War and Peace about the War of 1812, which now I'm doubting myself. You love to sound stupid when you're talking about having read War and Peace. And so I'm leaning towards that as maybe that's a reason it was ever in my head. So I'm going to say War of 1812. I'm not confident at all.
That's the one I'm mostly leaning towards also. The other one that kind of is calling out to me a little bit is 100 Years' War.
That was the other one I was thinking too. So, uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. So now it's like, do I stick with Evan or do I
keep it interesting?
Shake things up? Yeah. War of 1812, I think sticks out to me a little bit more. I think in my mind, you want to talk about sounding stupid. Here's my rationale for how I'm going with 1812 is I think the 100 Years' War ended because they got to 100 years and they all looked around and were like, we're still doing this? And I think they decided to stop. So for that reason, I'm going with my other answer, War of 1812. Hey, we both got it.
And that is what War and Peace is about. So I'm very, very smart.
What is Joseph Priestley credited with discovering?
Jason Priestley.
I'd love if that was one of the answers.
There he is.
The smallpox vaccine, the telegraph, oxygen, or the Amazon forest?
Interesting.
Really running the gamut on answers here.
There's a lot of stuff you can discover. I feel like I know one of these is incorrect.
I also feel that way.
I feel like if another one of these was true, I would have ever heard the name Joseph Priestley, which I have not.
Yeah, agree with you again.
I'm between two. I was leaning one way, and now I'm just going to say the other one because I'm reckless. I'm going with the telegraph.
Okay, I'm going with the smallpox vaccine.
Interesting.
I'm not confident at all, but telegraph was when you said, I'm pretty sure it's not this. Telegraph is what I thought was not it.
Do you have a guess for which I thought it was not?
Smallpox vaccine?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and guess then. It was oxygen. We were both...
Oxygen is the one that I was like, certainly I would have heard of this person's
Yes,
name.
we were on the same page there, which I guess left you between telegraph and Amazon forest
100%.
and me between smallpox and Amazon forest.
I feel like I know the name of the smallpox fella, and I can't think of it right now.
I do kind of feel like that
look
is
it up.
a name that I also would have heard, but it's like Joseph Priestley. When Jason Priestley exists, it's like I may have just forgotten about him. That being said, no point differential change. But that does put you now, Evan, at 60 points.
Hey!
And me at 66. And of course, still Dustin's at 4.
He's catching. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the smallpox vaccine. But even
That's
then,
what the answer was.
Was it the vaccine? I thought it was smallpox itself.
No, smallpox vaccine.
It was the vaccine? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, I was wrong. It was Edward Jenner. Interesting. All right. Well,
those Jenners have been running the world since even before keeping up with the Kardashians.
Ain't that the truth?
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. We're out.